I'm covering my cushion. I want it to show. Oh. Hello everyone, hi, welcome back to my channel. So if you're new here, my name is Yannick, and it's been a while. I haven't recorded in probably a few months, but you know, YouTube is hard. It's hard in the sense that it's quite time consuming. So anyway, I'm back. Hopefully I can be more consistent. The aim is to really and truly just bring value to an underserved community. So here we go. So today I want to talk about my journey into leaving my 9-to-5 and now becoming full-time self-employed. So I'll do another video where I go more into being self-employed. In this video I want to focus more on me getting out of that 9-to-5 space and more in alignment with my purpose. So that's the aim of this video, is for those people that want to make that transition from their 9-to-5 into probably doing more purposeful work. This video is for you, so stay tuned. So just to give you a bit of background, I decided to kind of embark on my leaving the whole 9-to-5 space journey in 2016. So up until that time, I was working for 10 years for a Chinese company, a Chinese manufacturing company. Really good job. I got to travel pretty much all over the world. I mean, not extensively, but I got to go to China frequently because the headquarters were based in China. Got to travel to France because the company had various offices. The pay was okay. I think I could have probably got more if my head was more screwed on, basically. Yeah, it was a pretty decent job. I was doing that for 10 years. It was my first job out of university, and I really liked it. In 2012, everything changed. So my health changed drastically in 2012. My whole world as I knew it changed. In going through that whole transitionary period of treating myself, understanding what was going on with my body, going through all those changes, that whole process really does, it's like a whole revolution. It's a whole 180. So in going through that, learning how to look after my body, learning the right foods to eat, learning how to live, basically, I was like a baby learning to walk again. I realized I was becoming a different person, being in this role and going through that whole process for, you know, years. So my whole spiritual transition started in 2012. As the years went on, I realized I was becoming more and more dissatisfied with the role. Going to work and just hating it, just really dreading going to work because my health needed so much attention as well. I was trying to manage my health, which if you become quite health conscious, there's a lot that you need to do. Preparing my meals freshly, more or less every day. You know, how I would be rolling with this big 2-liter bottle of water, waking up to exercise, you know, doing all these things. It was becoming taxing to kind of fit in a 9-to-5 and having to travel quite far as well. It was probably a 3.5-hour round trip. So I just wanted to leave so badly. That it was all I used to think about for months and months and months, until I came to a juncture where I was that fed up. Something was happening with my health, and I typed into Google, if you have this, what's the spiritual explanation for this, you know, this constitution of yours? Actually, kind of rewind. No, before that, nah. It's so long ago, I can't even remember. Here we are. So my relationship was in crisis, right? Our relationship was kind of hitting the rocks, and I was so desperate to save us. I wanted to get us therapy. So I reached out to my GP and I said, you know, is there any way that we could get complimentary therapy on the government? And my GP said, no, you don't essentially qualify for complimentary therapy. The only way you would is if you had a particular, you know, issue affecting your life. And I said, you lie. You're like, I was like, yeah, I have a problem. And they took me through a screening, and through that screening, which was over the phone, and I was at work at this point, took me through a series of questions. They kind of went through it 90% and said, you know what, it doesn't sound like you're going to qualify for this. And the person right near to the end asked me a question, and the answer that I gave, so I said, well, you know, I do struggle with this particular way that my psychology works. He said, you do know that there's a certain name for that issue that you have? And I said, really? And he gave me a name. And when he told me, no, this affects quite a few people, there's a name for that, you know, essentially I qualified to receive to receive the free therapy on that basis. When he gave me that name, I plugged it into Google. So I put in the spiritual ramifications or the spiritual relationship between this affliction and what it means spiritually. So I was really surprised to see what the outcome was. And you know what I was reading on Google, I mean it's Google, but if you're spiritual, you know that Google, you're not going to read the kind of things that you need to read from textbooks unless you buy all the random books that you need to get out there and buy. It's not going to be, you know, scientific information book. It's never going to be that. It's going to be either Google or you find some author that has looked into this issue. Spiritually, what was being said to me was that this person has this particular affliction because they try to control things too much. They try to control the world with their mind, and they don't believe in God, and they don't allow their lives to just be in universal flow. And when I read all of that, I said, it really moved me. And I remember going home and basically saying to myself, okay, I won't control my life anymore. I'll give my whole life over to God. And that day, the idea, this is how you know when God is working in your life. The idea came to me just like a divine download. This is why you have this particular health affliction. This is what you need to do about it. And it starts with you. Maybe leaving your job, just being bold, showing God, the universe, that, hey, I can just jump out and give you my life. So I thought about it, spent the weekend thinking about it, checked my savings, which is something that you're going to need to do. I checked my savings, saw that, okay, I have probably 4 months worth of savings. If I leave at this time, I find a job at this time. And yeah, just over the weekend I decided, I'm going to hand in my notice in a month, and then afterwards just find what it is I'm supposed to do. So essentially I made my mind up over that weekend and decided within a month I would hand in my notice. And I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my partner. I didn't tell anyone, and that's how I kind of tend to do things. If it's something I'm not sure about and maybe there's a level of conflict there, I won't allow my little thing that I'm nesting to get out into the universe for people to ruin it, because sometimes you get downloads and it's just for you to understand. It's not for the whole world or people in your circle. They're just not going to get it because they haven't walked to your path. They haven't gone on that journey with you to get the level of spiritual awareness that you have. So yeah, I didn't tell anyone, and I also didn't know what I was going to do. I had no idea what I would hand in my notice to then go and do afterwards. I had no idea what the after would be. I just was going to hand in my notice and let God handle the rest of it. So when it came close to that month where my notice was going to be finalized, I would have worked that notice period. The word started getting out, oh, you're leaving in the company, oh, you're leaving. And people kept asking me, so what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. And they're like, oh, you don't have a job? Exactly what I said, trying to push that fear onto me. But I was too convicted for my mind to be swayed. So, it was fine. And everybody was just like, what are you going to do? Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I left. And I remember that day, it was just, it was such a freeing feeling to not know what was going to happen. Not have a plan, not know what was going to happen from one week to the next. So there I was, unemployed. And it felt good. Like I said, it felt good to not have any concerns, not have anybody looking over your shoulder, and just not being responsible. It felt really good. So I took a month not doing anything, no work, no looking for work, no nothing, just existing. And I loved it. It was so refreshing. It was because I've been working since I was 16. And at that time, I think I was 30, oh Lord, how old was I? 34. So I've been working for years, a long time. And this was the first time I was not working. And it felt good. So I said to myself, I'd give myself a month. And after that month, then I would hear from God. What do you want me to do? I didn't go out and look for a job. I didn't start to, none of that. I wanted to hear first, this is what I want you to do, and then look. Yeah, I just decided I was going to take probably about a week to get into a space of just allowing God to channel through me. So I distanced myself from social media. I fasted a little bit. I ate good food. I just really went into that space. And I started looking for work, but more in line with what I felt like I wanted to do. And I felt like I wanted to do community work. And I didn't even know what the name of it was. So I just kept putting into Google community worker, community support, that kind of thing. And I kept looking until I came across this role of basically a support worker for the community. And I called up the agency and, I went for a job interview. No experience, no nothing. And they said, you know what, it's fine. We'll just, we like your story, so we'll give you a chance. So essentially I started working with people with disabilities in their homes. So these are people that wanted to live, is my battery dying? These are people that wanted to have an independent life while, having a disability. And it was really, I felt human for the first time in a long time, in forever. I felt like I was a human. I was doing purposeful work, because that's what was bothering me when I was working 10 years in corporate towards the end. It was like, how is this changing the planet? That's the question I kept asking, because within me, I just felt the need to employ my skills to be in more of service to the planet. I just felt like I was just wasting away there. Doesn't matter how much I got paid or whether the role was fulfilling. It was, am I serving the planet? And so here I was working with people in their homes, people that were really afflicted. I had a bunch of clients, that's what we'd call them, a bunch of clients, and I would help them to just feel human themselves, to live independently, and they were just doing really simple things. I'm telling you, when you see how people who are not as equipped, you could say, as the average human, and just how difficult their life is, it makes you so tremendously grateful for how much you do have and how much you do moan and just how ungrateful you are, essentially. So I did that for a year. I mean, the pay wasn't great, but it was okay. And this is the thing, when you're doing the work that you've been sent here to do, you'll be provided for. So my rent essentially wasn't that high. Is this thing recording? Yeah. My rent wasn't that high. I started to learn how to keep my expenses down, and I made it work. Towards the end of that year, I had gone through a few clients, and my last client became really ill. Like I said, I was working in their homes, but this client got so ill she had to be taken to hospital. So I was, and they didn't have any more clients to place me with. So I was just in a situation where I needed to find something else to do. And so I went looking for more work. Again, following that whole energy of I need to be of assistance to the planet. So I looked online again in that vein, and I found another job. This was as a nursing assistant in a really cool hospital. So I went to the interview. I remember the interview so clearly, getting all the questions wrong. And these were two nurses, they called them matrons because they were the head nurses, heads of departments. So they were helping me. They were helping me answer the questions. And one of them said, I don't even know why I'm helping you. I just feel led to help you. Listen, before I went into that interview, I prayed the day before. I did a lot of things, to prepare myself. I called in specific angels to work with me, angels that help you with maths, calculations. There are different angels to do different things. So because I knew I was going to be tested, because I knew I needed to impress, I called on angels that make you appear impressive, make people kind of drawn to you. There are angels that can help you to do that. So, I did some spiritual work before I went into that interview, and you know, the lady blatantly said to me, you have no reason, because you have no experience. She said, you have no reason to really get this job, but I like you, so I'm going to give you this position. So yeah, I got the job. I was a nursing assistant on a rehabilitation ward for people that have had strokes and stuff, and it was so eye-opening. Like I said, everything that I have done since leaving corporate have given me so much grounding to help me to do the work that I'm here to do. So the people were dying all the time. Well, not necessarily all the time where I work, but people would die sometimes. Because I was able to do what they call bank shifts, I was able to work on different wards, so I would see people dying on other wards every day. Listen, when you go into establishments where, you know, people's lives and their livelihoods are at stake, it really, the technical difficulties. Working at the hospital was a very eye-opening journey for me. As I've said, you know, it kind of formed a basis for me to become the person that I am today in terms of how well-rounded I am. And if you're a person that's into spirituality, it's quite important for you to know how to master, which I'm learning to do, master the whole manifestation realm. And a key principle of manifestation is for you to be grateful. And I think me working in those two placements, or just basically working in the community, working, like I said, when I got the incentive or the push to leave my 9 to 5, it was because of that, you know, those few paragraphs that I read about my personality type and what my soul is here to do. And that was to become more human. So I think the path, the trajectory that I followed in following what I feel that I have been led to do, or I am called to do, it's really satisfied within me that whole thirst for feeling more human, more connected to humanity. Yeah, and I think definitely working in the hospital taught me that. Oh my God, I saw some things, I'm telling you. People not being able to crap, you know, I'd have to wipe their asses. And it was a very humbling experience for me as well. People not being able to walk, not being able to talk. Eventually I left there because I decided to leave London. Still on my transition, on my journey to becoming more of a person that lives in divine alignment. I followed that call to leave London because, like I said, I've just kept wanting to be who I was sent here to be, and I was very frustrated in London. So I eventually moved out to Kent and I moved away from that job. So I had to leave that job after a year. To be honest, I was quite happy to leave because I guess my aim of taking that job was to see people. I wanted to save people's lives, you know? I didn't get the opportunity to do that. I was surprised to see in that hospital I didn't get the opportunity to save lives because people, essentially, it's almost like they had no reverence for their lives. That really hurt me, you know, to see that nurses, they just gave people pills. They didn't empower them. They didn't want them to know how to make themselves better or let them know how they got into that position. It was just cut, slice, fix, so off you go. So I was very disappointed in that. Just like, you know, let the doctors do it, and I'm not that bothered if I lose a toe. I would see toes falling off, you know, fingers falling off, and people are just like, yeah. So yeah, left London and I followed that call to walk in divine purpose. My intention when leaving London was, like I said, or like I mentioned before, to work bank shifts. So I found a placement here where I could do my bank shifts, and just all fell apart. It all fell apart, and God just said to me, I don't want you to work for anybody else. I want you to work for yourself. So I said, me work for myself? I don't know what I'm doing. But you know, I listened to God. I listened to that call on my life of becoming self-employed, because I've now realized, now being self-employed and now being an entrepreneur, I'm realizing I'm not called to work for people. And I don't say that in a way that, oh, I'm above it all. No, in order for you to be an entrepreneur, you have to have certain characteristics, and they're innate to you, they're inherent, you're born with them. So I have always been that person that never fit into groups, could never work as a part of a team, you know, just chaotic as a problematic AF. Yeah, that's what God said you're gonna do. This was 2019, no, 2018. Not sure where I left off because my battery died. So I think I was just explaining that I was kind of called into entrepreneurship. So that's where I am at this moment now, at this particular point of my life. That's my story of how I left the corporate world, now branching off into entrepreneurship, which is not easy. It's not easy, not easy. You know, if anyone's watching this and kind of looking for inspiration, because I know I was, when I was thinking of leaving my 9-to-5 job, I was just scouring Google and YouTube for just videos of people that have made that journey before. So if I could kind of summarize and give you guys any advice, I would say spiritual foundation is essential. That's what made the journey manageable for me. Because if you're essentially gonna dive off and not know what it is that you're meant to do specifically, that could be very challenging. But if you have that spiritual foundation where you know that something is guiding you, and you have an angelic and a divine support system, it makes that journey, you know, that much more manageable, basically. And if you don't want to like wing it like I did and just be jumping with no parachute and just be radical. Another thing, I currently have no children. At the time I was, you know, my living situation was okay. So you do have to calculate all these risks before you decide to take the plunge. If I had children, it would be very different. It would be very different, but it's something I would still do, but just approach it more in a cautionary way. So yeah, essentially I would say consider your circumstances. If you're risk averse, just do it slowly. Maybe it's a case of you kind of working on the side, volunteering, to just find what your passion may be. Find what your passion may be. And yeah, like I said, for me, when I was thinking of taking the plunge, I just wanted to know if it was scary and, you know, how did people make the transition and what was the journey like? Yes, it is scary because you have to trust your instinct and your intuition and your inner man. So it can be a difficult journey, but just be trusting. You always have to be listening for guidance, so to speak. And essentially it's your passion that's going to take you to the next level. If you're looking to leave your 9-to-5 out of frustration, I always suggest that people are pulled towards something as opposed to being pushed out, because when you're pushed there's pain. However, when you're pulled, when you're drawn to something, it's usually coming from your heart. So I know for me, I was pulled towards self-employment, you know, ultimately. But before that, in all the other jobs that I took on, this was a calling from my heart. I wanted to serve humanity more. I wanted to just get out there and get my hands dirty. You need to tap into trying to understand what your purpose is. So I looked into my life path, looked into astrology, and, you know, from that foundation, I was able to see, okay, this person is here to, you know, probably be a humanitarian and, you know, serve humanity, serve people. So I saw all of that anyway. It was in my DNA, my spiritual DNA, so to speak. So yeah, essentially just prepare as much as you can. Just get an understanding of what you're here to do. Battery! Dive into yourself. Don't just jump into this without having any understanding of who you are or financially how you're going to support yourself. It's important to get those things established first, and then just be brave. Just be brave and know that whatever is pushing you towards taking this leap, there's support there for you. It's your soul calling you. It's a divine calling. You know, things should work out. Things might fail. You might leave your 9-to-5 and hate it. You know, because essentially when you leave your 9-to-5, you're now stepping into a realm of complete spirituality. Nobody is governing your schedule. Nobody's telling you what to do. There's no security communication going on in that spiritual dialogue. So for anyone looking to take the leap, think about it, get yourself prepared, and just do it. You know, just do it. To be honest, I think we overcomplicate things. We make things more difficult than they need to be. You know, I'm a product of making the leap. It was a very humbling experience. It's not easy, but essentially I think it was the right thing for me to do. Am I happier? Yes, I am. Am I more fulfilled? Yes, I am. Do I feel like a citizen of the world? Yes. Do I feel more purposeful? Absolutely. So I hope this was helpful for you if you're looking to take the leap. You know, I hope this video, probably amongst others, will help to kind of solidify your mind in terms of where you decide to go. Thank you so much for watching. All the best on your journey. And if you like content like this and, you know, content of a similar vein, then do make sure to subscribe. I'd like to see more of you guys here. I'd like to be more of service. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.